Hank, Aaron here, Canadian Looney. How y'all doing? So one of my favorite things that we'll be doing this fall is covering the committee investigations. We can't cover all of those live, but we try to show the highlights and the best clips from the other committee investigations. We try to watch them all, and the stuff that I see that is very interesting, I try to share. If there's something to learn, I try to spread the knowledge. That's it. This one's got Stephanie Kusie. She's one of my favorites, firecrackers from the Conservative Party. We've got Ned Kuruc. He's new to the House of Commons after the last election. He's from Hamilton, but definitely worth a watch. John Williamson is the chair of this. This is a Public Accounts Committee, and he is a solid, very sharp chair of the committees. Anyway, let's get into this. Stephanie Kusie is always entertaining, and Ned Kuruc is definitely a guy that you'll get to know his name. Let's take a peek. Let's get into this.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
I'm really here to try to listen and try to kind of find out if there's a divide. I'm proposing we try to settle on a couple of reports or studies just to get us going, and then we reconsider when the auditor delivers her next batch of investigations, how we proceed for the remainder of the year and probably early into the new year. So what I'm going to do, and I don't have the speaking order. I'm going to begin with Ms. Kusie, and then I'll go to someone on the government bench. But I do want to hear from everyone, so everyone will get a turn. The first round will be for 6 minutes from all three parties, as it is in a regular round. Then I'll go as if we're in a second round. 5 minutes for the official opposition, 5 minutes for the government. 2 minutes 30 secondes pour le bloc. I am going to be generous with time here. If
2.5 minutes for the bloc.
To say, I'll come back to you around. But this is just meant to give everyone an opportunity to speak. Does that sound?
I thought we were just going to have a general discussion.
Well, we are, but I want to hear from every member, and to me, this is the kind of it's just going to go back and forth like a ping pong ball. So. So I'm open to alternatives. I just thought that was a way to make sure I hear from everyone and to wrap things up. And as I know, there are some members who have a couple things they want to say. Certainly from one side, I indicated that if someone feels they've not had an opportunity, I'd come back to them as well. So it's just a way for me to kind of regulate it and get things going. So without further ado, Ms. Kusie, you have the floor on your priorities for the session.
Thank you, Chair. And certainly we want to start this conciliatory. We want to move forward in a collaborative fashion, which I know this government has set out to do, as the Prime Minister has given you the mandate to do. Chair, I'm so sorry you couldn't be there to draw attention to your absence, but the conference in Regina was just absolutely outstanding in terms of the camaraderie and also the lessons, I think, that we learned in terms of best practices from across the country, something really outstanding. So we definitely, I think, as a committee, came out of the conference with a renewed sense of collaboration and wanting to do what is in the interest of the Canadian people. Now, obviously, given that we're all different political parties, all of us will approach this with a different lens in terms of our values, our principles, the positions that we come from, and what we think is most valuable for the average Canadian citizen, which, of course, we hope to serve through this committee. But you have asked for our preferences in terms of studies going forward. As the Auditor General has said herself, and even said last night at dinner, there is no shortage of topics to choose from. The reports run the gamut, and every single report, as we learned in Regina, is something of significant consideration to her and her team when she decides to do it and when she decides, her and her team decide to execute it. So both in the decision and in the completion of the report, these are not picked without due consideration. So with that, Mr. Chair, We are very interested in Report 3, which was just released in June, current and future use of office space, with a projected deficit of probably $84 billion, even though it currently sits at $61.9 billion. This government, this country needs revenue right now. And in the report, it was determined that there was going to be savings of $3.9 billion over 10 years, and that's really a drop in the bucket in terms of what we need. Some of the findings which stand out to me, or I should say one finding in particular, Mr. Chair, is that the revenues of sold assets aren't even currently documented, and to me that's astounding. That we're not even keeping track of what we are disposing of from a balance book perspective. I think this pairs very nicely with the housing initiative of the government, and I think that there is a lot to learn, both in terms of cost savings, efficient use of assets, and also as I said, hand in hand with the housing strategy of the government. So this would be our first one. Our second one that we're interested in, Mr. Chair, is the 2024 report number 5 of McKinsey and the broader study, of course, of the professional services, specifically is what I'm pointing to, the study on professional services. Again, we have seen trouble with finding value for money time and time again. Both the Parliamentary Budget Officer and the Auditor General, I should say not both, all three of them, and the Procurement Ombudsman has stated over and over again that there is a lack of oversight, there is a lack of following through in terms of the rules, the regulations, their application, and the value for money. Also a theme at the time when this report was undertaken, Mr. Chair, were frankly the actors involved. This, of course, was under the previous Trudeau administration, but there was concern about the implication of McKinsey, the key players, Dominic Barton, and their influence on the government all throughout all ministries, all departments. And I think given the Prime Minister, the current Prime Minister, and his past positions, in addition to the conflicts of interest which have been reported, we must always keep our guard up as to these things as well. So that would be the second one. And the third one, Mr. Chair, I'm sure will come as no surprise, but it is GC strategies. The AG report shows more of the same. The Liberal government still needs to tighten up in terms of their procurement, where we learned from the Auditor General that in her samples, 21% of the samples lacked security clearances. In 33% of contracts examined, federal organizations could not show the contract resources, had the experience, qualifications needed to complete the work. In 58% of the non-competitive contracts examined, federal organization failed to assess whether there would be benefits to calling for bids. Only 54% of contracts examined were situations where the federal departments could prove that their deliverables were even received, Mr. Chair. So we have a long way to go. And the final piece in regards to this report is, Mr. Chair, we never determined who chose GC strategies. We never got to the bottom of that, Mr. Chair. So with that, I'll lay out our choices again. Number 3, Report 3, current and future use of office space, professional services, highlighting McKinsey, and number 3, Report number 4 from just this June 2025, GC strategies. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Oh, yeah. Mr. Kuruc, we'd like to go for a couple minutes here as well, for 5 minutes.
Pleased to be on the. Is this live or?
Yes, it's okay.
Sorry. Thank you. Glad to be here, and I am honored to represent the taxpayer at this committee. I'm going to go through some reports and touch on some things and then talk about the two that I think we should focus on the most. So first and foremost, report number 3, current and future use of federal office space. I found some interesting quotes in there. First, the CMHC is reporting of the number of housing units built lack clarity. In addition, the initiative did not maximize access to affordable housing for those with the greatest need. The Auditor General confirmed what Canadians already know, that the government is failing on housing. Nearly half of the units promised through CMHC programs won't be ready on time. The so-called affordable housing doesn't even target the lowest income families who are struggling, and that is a big concern. So I would put forth that we look at report number 3 specifically. The second one I'd like to touch on, and I'll go through them. Report number 4, professional service contracts with GC Strategies. Specifically here, the value for money did not meet the Auditor General standards. Security requirements were not enforced. The study states that the federal organizations were not able to show that all contract resources had the appropriate security clearance prior to the contract being given. In 46% of these contracts examined, almost half, the study found that federal organizations had little to no evidence to support that deliverables were received. Despite this, the federal government officials consistently authorized payments. So we have to look at report number 4, and we have to tackle 3 things: value for dollar, security issue, payment without proof of work was completed. I would like to put forth that we take a closer look at report number 4. Those will be my 2 main suggestions. Some other interesting things I found in the other reports was a report on COVID-19 pandemic CEBA, Canadian Emergency Business Account. First, we have a $8.5 million in remaining loans to collect, and in this report, there is clearly no plan on how they are collecting on these defaulted loans, and collecting on loans could last till 2032. Over half of these ineligible loans have still not been paid off, and that's a very, very big concern to me, and I think the Canadian taxpayer. As a result, now we have $3.5 billion in COVID-19 business loans that were given to ineligible recipients. Very concerning. In this report, it's clear that the government likes to move fast with no control or no plan. On report number 7, combating cybercrime, I found in this report that the CRTC received about 75,000 reports of cybercrime-linked incidences and only investigated 6. This is extremely concerning because the government is failing to protect Canadians. And something that hits home to me is I have an 84-year-old father, and this is exactly what these crimes target seniors, and they could be the most affected. So that I found very, very concerning. Next, report number 8, Zero Emissions Vehicle Infrastructure Program. Quote, in a 2024 report done by Dunsky Energy and Climate Advisors, identified the need for approximately 240,000 public charging ports by 2023. The current ZVIP target is to support 78,500 public and private chargers by 2029. That's only 33% of what we would need to support the government's EV mandate. Report 2, I'd like to touch on delivering Canada's future fighter jet capability study. This audit shows that we're more than 3 years behind on the infrastructure, and 6 years later, we still have a shortage of pilots. Simply put, at the end of the day, we will have planes with no pilots and no runways. Report number 11, programs to assist seniors. StatsCan says that the population of seniors could almost double over the next 2 decades. The audit found that the government programs were out of touch on the wants and needs of seniors. They also couldn't determine if the programs were effective, nor could they show how many seniors had benefited. So I will spend my time on this committee to, again, like I said in my opening statements, represent the taxpayer, and that's my job. And to reiterate, I'd like to focus on report number 3 and report number 4. And thank you for my time.
Oh, yeah. Are there any other comments anyone would like to make? I'm not, so I agree. I'm sensing some broad agreements. I'm not going to attempt to repeat it now in case I get it wrong, but there's a few of us up here who are taking notes. All right, we are suspended. We'll come back as quickly as possible as we can in camera. Thank you. This meeting is suspended.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
All of that is pretty tame right there, but these committee investigations, points of orders like personal conflicts, people that don't like each other, sitting in the same room, debating, arguing most of the time. It's a gong show too, but less of a pageant than the House of Commons question period is. Definitely worth checking out. If you enjoyed that video, it's only going to get better. Smash the subscribe, hit the like, share this with somebody. Come and learn about what is actually going on. The Conservatives are sharp, the Liberals are deceptive. There's a conspiracy going on in Canada, and the CBC is in on it. So it's tough to have a conspiracy that big without it being like showcased. And that's what we're trying to do here. Aaron, Canadian Looney, like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video. Thank you for watching this one. Join us for question period. We're here every day covering that live. We're out for now. Catch you in the next video.
We call